adjust my microphone. Maybe that fits.
Yeah, I'm gonna
just look like Lemmy.
Yeah.
A little bit. Anyhow, as Stephen told us, we do have a little bit more time today for our performance. That needs good news. We can share the way how we came up with our performance, and so you get a little insight of how we worked in figuring out our sound poetry. We will do in a few seconds.
Yeah, so like an exclusive behind the esophageal scenes.
Because we found out that we do have something obscure in common.
We have a beautiful affinity.
Yeah, it's metal music, and especially Scandinavian metal music of the 90s. And so we thought we can do some collaborations on that. And as I see, all of you are...
I'm having a little altitude problem with them.
I'll talk
very much.
As I see,
perfect,
there are a lot of metalheads in the audience, and so you know that there are a lot of different singing styles in metal, and David came up with a great list.
Yeah, so just as a little bit of field research that came from some listening, we went through styles of reading, and we came across Operatic Wizard was one of them. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Why have I been so candid with this? That's it.
And that was the basic of our sound poetry.
Yeah. Well, sorry, apologies. I was playing that. So we started with Operatic Wizard.
Yeah.
Then there was a sort of small child in a blender sound. Then there was Inconsolable Cave Troll, which was kind of like. Really upsetting, and it just continued. Then there was Sweaty Desperation, Motivational Viking, Swedish Nihilism, Druid Whisperer, which was etc. Sudden Testosterone Hemorrhage, Spandex Falsetto. Endearing Stoner with Pagan Affectations, Competitive Alpha Strut with Undercurrents of Unresolved Sexuality, Sheer Unbridled Cuckoo from Hell, Christopher Lee,
and of course we've got Dungeon Ambience,
kind of cavernous. Then there was Cattle Prod Golem, which is kind of like etc.
Yes, almost Austrian toothache.
But via pantomime Satanism.
Unfortunate beer funnel.
With WhatsApp audio from the morgue. And there was also the kind of more flamboyant Blakean prophecies with melodious tremors of a proverbial hell, physically illuminated courtesy of the dancing of partially undressed maenads as filmed by the dreary scythe of Jean Roland, and in which diaphanous bathrobes would ensue.
Eternal man-boy party swagger.
Oppressive craft ale enthusiast.
A very nasty one is posthumously consensual necrophilia.
Yeah. Middle-aged Jasper, king of the wasps. That was more of a prog kind of thing.
Not quite James Hetfield.
Lingering puddle of glum.
Actual James Hetfield.
Director's commentary in which the film is your life played backwards and the director is a surprisingly congenial manifestation of death.
Low-key aperture mantra.
Sulfuric bubble bath.
Lusty vampire in an AIM dram musical tribute to the lunar circle.
Esophageal bulldozer.
The Danic ramification of still being in the band past the age of 40.
Alistair Crowley bagpipes, and then the second wind, where there's still fire in the old alchemy of pride and humility that mingles as you look back on your life touring with Desecrated Goat, and the early days with Nocturnal Spasm.
We do have Howl of the Dinosaur, who sees and understands the meteor.
And then there's also the howl of the dinosaur, who is informed by the previous dinosaur that the luminous blot on the horizon is not a good sign.
The incomprehensible mass and speed of the meteor, as voiced by James Hetfield.
And then like a collaboration between the band Cattle Decapitation and the band Dying Fetus, brought together to cover Napalm Death, who are in turn covering Cannibal Corpse, covering Iron Maiden in a tribute to Gorgoroth, who is entirely uncovered and in the process of offering his pasty body to the devil.
Applying corpse paint, age 67, still committed to the cause.
Arthritic thrash and the exquisite pain of arpeggios.
All-consuming exhaustion inflected with increasingly wistful bouts of whiplash.
And then death on stage, so the kind of final culmination. So that was kind of like a little bit of field research that we did.
Yeah, and upon of this field research, we built our poem that we will start in a few seconds, but as Steve said, we do have a little bit more time. So we want to do something very important, and I guess I speak not even for me and for you, but for a lot of authors here. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. And thank you to the Austrian Culture Forum. Thank you, Steve, for putting on such like supportive and interesting events. It's vital.
Yeah, and I also want to say thank you to the Austrian Culture Forum for providing us a place to sleep and a great pillow where we can rest our restless head. And, that you're taking so much care of us. That's really great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's important. And also just to the interior design. I mean, thank you for this. That. Thank you for that. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. A chandelier. I've never been in the company of a chandelier often.
Yeah, and if you start like this, we also have to say thank you to the guys who set up the snack bar over there. Because today it's very important to get something to drink.
Stay hydrated as well.
And,
it's pretty...
so otherwise we would be thirsty as hell. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, and also as just dominoes here. If thank you for your presence, because without your presence, our presence would have a different presence, which would be kind of more lonely and sad, which might be more of a familiar presence for us. But still, it's nice to have your presence as a kind of assurance that our presence isn't, our default.
Yes. And of course, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my parents, my wife, my children, and for being such a great support for me, and also especially my uncle, especially Uncle Fluel, who always repairs my car for free.
And as we're at it, I'd like to just take a sincere moment to thank my feet, because I have quite an antagonistic relationship with my feet. Over the past year, it seems they've almost like begrudgingly caught up with the fact that I'm quite large, and they're starting to kind of resist that. And although they complete my legs, and there's a certain vertical convenience to which I've grown accustomed, I think I've actually, there's been a bit of, tension between us. So actually putting that behind me, sincerely thank you to the left and to the right.
And I also want to say thank you to my cats, namely Keksi and Jelinek, who that's their name. Unfortunately, they are already dead, although my father tried to reanimate them with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, which unfortunately didn't work at all. But my father had then to throw the corpses of the cats into some sort of waste paper basket for dead animal corpses, and had to come back to this waste paper basket for dead corpses in the night, because my mother told him to go back to this waste paper basket of dead animal corpses to look if the cats are really dead or maybe not dead. I don't know what my mom really wanted from my dad, but he had to take a look in this waste paper basket for dead animal corpses if the cats arised from the dead or some sort of zombie cat creeping out of this waste paper basket of dead animal corpses and shattering some epidemic
whiskered undead.
Yeah, and
maybe it's.
But they were dead. So thank you that they took a look.
Okay. Thank you to each page that has been sacrificed, tree flesh reduced to thin sheets of regret, over which we deface the possibility of something more with our failings, our delusions, and our vanity. Thank you for the paper. Thank you.
And thank you for the free market that I can buy myself a clear conscience.
And thank you for ink as well as paper. I still wish in a hypothetical world it could come directly from a squid, as a sort of disgruntled cephalopod gently coaxed into milking its melanin goods. And in this hypothetical world, each writer would keep one squid in a small glass bowl as a kind of translucent companion, just there, just so, rippling its frills in anticipation of the next spurt, which is a terrible word, but it would be waiting for that moment. But there'd probably in that situation be inevitable protests, as there should be, for the enslavement of more animal life, and weirdly the squid situation would spill out into people seeing more clearly, more powerfully, and more stridently than any advertising campaign, film or march. The squid situation would alert people to our ongoing cruelty, and then would actually kind of help, I think, and we would find out that this was planned all along by the writers who kept the squids, and who knew such cruelty had to end, and were also fond of squids and willing to overlook some sort of temporary mistreatment in order to bring attention to the bigger picture. So thank you for that hypothetical squid situation.
And never forget to say thank you to planet Earth for not yet killing me through a thunderstorm, an earthquake, or through enormous eruptions of lava and magma that spills around my legs while I'm standing at the foot of a big volcano where all this magma comes out, and starting to burn right here at my feet, and facing death, and then facing death, I will. What will I do? Of course, I will write some poem. Yeah, I write a poem, not a poem, the most beautiful poem you can think of, because it will be a love poem for my beloved wife, and it will be the most beautiful poem ever written, because there is this upcoming death, and I see these pyroclastic streams and the lava coming to me, and I don't have anything to push against, no strength, nothing to fight against nature, but poetry and somehow love. I mean love in form of poetry.
Death and love and death.
Love, yeah.
Coinciding in a poem that could double as your ashes, so that your wife could have. She could use my ashes and put it on her body. Written on the body, yeah, as is a title of the relevance, and smothering it, and continuing that. Thank you for the well-meaning nod and compliment that briefly pretends any of us has any access to meaningful purpose or purposeful meaning that extends beyond fear. Thank you for that.
And well, of course, I'd like to say thank you for the possibility to walk through the audience, just like I do now, in the middle of a performance that hasn't started or not yet. So, let's say we have a performance now, without being considered as an epic literary fail, but accepted as a normal part of the poem. My walking, thank you for that you accept that my walking now is a poem.
Thank you for pretending everything is okay here. Thank you for going along with that. Thank you for your awareness of the pretense of pretending it's okay, and for understanding it as both a necessary part of survival in order to avoid the scale of our dilemma in terms of planetary and personal existentialism, from overwhelming the everyday and precarious semblance of sanity we adopt in order to function, and as a more comfortable lifestyle choice that allows a pleasant numbness to descend upon the edges, like sort of melting chocolate over cornflake. Thank you for that. Packaging rationality is the most rational response to chaos, which has, of course, to date no inconvenient psychological legacy, as evidenced by the rationality that prevails. Thank you for willing. Thank you for being willing to lie to us.
Thank you for considering this one.
Thank you for indulging pessimistic narcissism as though it were a poetics as opposed to egocentric deferral poetry. Thank you to mirrors and the dutiful mismanagement of expectations. Thank you for...
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks. Oh, thank you. So thank you for validating the possibility of poetry through the substance of your attention. Thank you for silently conceding our lack of substance. Thank you for then reflecting that we never own this lack but share it. Thank you for learning to share. Is not something we would ever say. Instead, we might say thank you for considering the apparition of what this might have been. Thank you for your performance, and thank you for this first poem we were about to read.